Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Prince George's African American Museum and Cultural Center. My name is Jessica Smith-Hebron. I'm the interim executive director here at our marvelous museum. And today you are inside our virtual Pride of Place Parlor, where we're celebrating all the things that we love about our powerful Prince George's County, Maryland. Today we are joined with a powerful queen, the mayor of Hyattsville, Queen Candace Hollingsworth, who is the youngest mayor in Hyattsville's 134-year history. She's also the first African-American mayor in Hyattsville's history. So she is doing amazing things in Hyattsville. You know that Hyattsville is the center and the heart of the Arts Gateway, the Gateway Arts District. And I am also happy that she is one of our powerful and proud board members here at the Prince George's African American Museum. She's doing amazing things, and we got an opportunity to catch up with her in her busy schedule and find out more about why she loves Prince George's County. Welcome, Mayor Candace.
Thank you, Jessica. You make me feel so special. I sound good.
You are special and you are good. You are everything. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how did you come to Prince George's County? What's your story?
So, interestingly, my story with Prince George's County, I guess began before I realized it did. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and did undergrad in Atlanta, Georgia. And the deal when we moved up here was we'd go whoever got a job first, that's where we were going. So we got to DC and had every intention of moving back to Atlanta. To be closer to home, closer to family, all of that. And within 5 years, you're talking about, what was that, 2008, I guess it was the crash. It was also a good time to buy a house, but a bad time to be looking for a job. Mm-hmm. So we decided to make Maryland home. And for the 5 years that we were living here before we decided to move to Prince George's County, we were living in Wheaton.
Okay.
And honestly, it was a Google search that led me to Hyattsville in Prince George's County. And I fell in love with this city and in love with the county. And as I think about it, when I was in high school, I went to boarding school in New Hampshire. And one of my good friends there is a Prince George's County native. And he would always say, PG County represent. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I loved it. And then I think it was an undergrad, I believe it was undergrad, I read PG County by Connie Briscoe. And so there were all these little kind of nuggets dropped along the way. And I think things happen for a reason, or you're given information about places and experiences for a reason so that you can recall them when necessary. Yes. And to be living in Prince George's County now, thinking about those other experiences that I had in the past, I think, wow, what a magnificent place to be raising my kids, for them to see, honestly, for them to see Black leadership across the board. I think is a wonderful thing. And for them to be in this place that is so special and has so much of a rich history in the DC area, and in particular in Maryland, I'm just proud to be one of the caretakers along the way in my role in Hyattsville.
So here's what I would like you to do now. I'd like you to show and tell. Please show us one picture or object that reminds you of your personal connection to Prince George's County.
So, when I think of this question, I was like, what? There really isn't an object that I would share, but I'm going to show you probably my deepest connection to Prince George's County. And it's, I'll tell you more about it in a minute, but hopefully you can see this.
Okay. Hold it over. Yeah, there we go. Oh,
those are my two babies. They're not very much babies anymore. My son Ellis is 15. My daughter Zora is 11. And this is the only home that they really know.
Right.
They were born in this area, but they've their entire school career has been here. This is the only home that they'll remember for the most part. And I know that, when I left home, I was like, Memphis is always home for me, but this is the only home that they know. And so to know that, everything that I do, everything, like every experience that I have here is I'm always thinking about how is what we're doing shaping a future for them. And my kids are definitely Prince Georgians. So, in raising Prince Georgians, I have a responsibility, in my view, I have a responsibility to make sure that my kids know the history of where they're living, aside from, their parents' history and the history of, Georgia and Tennessee and Mississippi from my parents, their grandparents and everything. It's also important for them to know where their roots were formed, which is right here in Prince George's County, Maryland. And yeah, so I think even if I moved anywhere else, I know that I've raised Prince George's kids, and this is the home that they know. And this is, I think, all of the activities that they do, wherever they go, they're going to take with them a different type of, a different posture that I think, as a Memphian, I wouldn't have, even as I talk with my son now, who's in high school, and he's like, "Oh, Mom, you wouldn't know nothing about that because you're not from Maryland." I was like, "Whatever."
But I like the confidence. That is the confidence that I want people to have, especially our children, because a lot of times, especially when I was growing up, if you ask people where they're from, and even now I see it on people's Facebook page, they'll put they're from the DC area. And I'm like, not from Washington, DC.
Right.
You live in Accokeek, and that is not Washington, DC. And in traffic, it could be as far as Wakanda. So why are you up here talking about you do live in the Washington, D.C. area, but I want them to know the history. It's important for them to know the history of where they come from. And the fact that your children are in such a historic place such as Hyattsville, and I want to say historic and happening, because something wonderful and marvelous is always, growing in Hyattsville. They're just they were born at the right time to the right parents. They got a great life.
They definitely know that they're Maryland kids, and they know that they're Prince George's kids, because they mess with me all the time. You wouldn't know nothing about that, Mom. Okay, fine.
So okay, so tell us, where is your favorite place in Prince George's County? Now, I know because you are the mayor of Hyattsville, you can say Hyattsville, but if you have it doesn't have to be Hyattsville. If you have a place that don't feel like
I don't. So I will say, of course, for the Hyattsville people watching, Hyattsville always my favorite place. But the place that is very special to me, because it is a place that I go to just kind of clear my mind when when it's a busy day, or just stress, whatever it is I go swing on the swings at Strom Hills Park in Greenbelt.
Oh,
and that is my favorite place. And I like going after dusk, because it's one of the few parks that's open after the sun sets. And so to be able to just swing and be in the clear air and under the stars.
About this, if you could envision the future of Prince George's County, I want you to envision 20 years from now. I believe you're still going to be here for 100 more years. And so just look 20 years in the future. Describe what it looks like.
This is so there are a couple different ways you can answer this, right? There's the what do you think it'll look like, and then there's what do you wish it'll look like, right? Because what I think it'll look like, we are making the decisions right now about that are going to shape what Prince George's County in 2040 will look like. And I have to tell you honestly, I'm not entirely sure if what's shaping up is what I would want it to look like. Am I making sense?
Yes.
So the Prince George's County that I would want to see in 2040 is one where just kind of generally Black people are free. Like we are free to live, play, work, all of those things without worry about who's going to see or who's going to be bothered, because we're all living our lives just the way just the way that we want.
Living our best lives.
Living our lives. We're not, preventing anyone else from living their own lives, but we're just all, that might be seeing people dance in the street, or whatever. That would be beautiful to me. We had a Juneteenth celebration last year in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a great celebration for me. But at the same time, I was like, why? I was talking to a girlfriend of mine. I was like, why aren't we dancing? Like, nobody's dancing.
Black history has to be so serious all the time. Black
like
history is joy.
Joy. That is the word. And free expressions of joy in all the ways that it shows up for us, in the ways that we work, in the ways that we live, in the ways that we lead our communities. Again, like it's not something that's so rigid and stuffy and defined by what we are used to seeing politics look like, right? Like we are one of those rare and special places where, like I said, my kids get to see Black leadership all around them. And it is an opportunity for us to make it look the way that we think it should.
We don't
Right?
have to.
There's no definition. We can create the definition for what that is for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love to see that. I would love to see us walk in the strength of knowing that we are confident in who we are and what we bring to the table. And I don't know that that's entirely there all the time. I would love to, in 2040, to see Prince George's County, where Prince George's County history is taught, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of that, how this came to be, and where we start talking about contemporary history in schools, in our schools, in our communities, in our libraries, where that conversation is constantly had, so that we're raising Prince Georgians who are proud of where they are and where they come from, because they know where they are and where they come from. I would love to see in 2040 a Prince George's County where everybody could say, oh, my auntie, my grandmom, or my uncle, or they have someone who is an elder who is living somewhere else in Prince George's County. Because to me, that means that we've been able to maintain a legacy within the county, and that we're rebuilding that generational, knowledge, to where it's not just where people might have arrived here as transplants, but that means that although we come as transplants, we've decided that this is home, and we start nurturing, our own individual family communities in Prince George's County that withstand, the movement that comes and goes with prices and with price increase and that kind of thing.
We are working. I know the work at the museum that we're doing, we're working to make sure that all of those things come true, especially with people having an inherent historical connection to Prince George's County, that they can speak about the history, just like the people in, you mentioned Juneteenth. If you go down to Texas and you're talking about in Galveston, Texas, and you talk about Juneteenth, everybody knows the history. That is something that you almost know coming out the womb. There's no question about what the history of the festival is and the holiday, why is it important? And we have our own. We have Maryland Emancipation Day. That is our day. And so on November 1st, so making sure that we know about those things and that we're doing all that we can to keep the celebrations, and I think this is so important, joyful, vibrant, not sad and destitute, because that's not what our history comes from. It comes from happiness.
Yep. And then real quickly, the other things I think I would love to see in 2040 is, and this is relevant for the museum, I think, is a North Brentwood that is still Black. They're like, I don't know if I misspoke there, but
No, you didn't.
but
No. My facial expressions. Here's what the thing. I told you that our Pride of Place Parlor. We're talking about a love letter to Prince George's County, and we are the Prince George's African American Museum. So we would be on brand and on target to say that we wish to see our culture and our history represented in the county, and specifically our first incorporated town for African Americans. I
yeah.
think that is very important.
And for me, that desire to see North Brentwood still Black is not to say that other people aren't able to live there or to move in. What it means to me is if the land ownership and the home ownership is still with Black families.
Hmm.
Even if the tenants are different, even if, you know, the businesses that are there may be different, but the land and the space that it occupies is still in Black hands. You think about North Brentwood's survival to this point as a municipality and the people there who have literally survived because of where it was situated as a
Yeah,
city between these other places that didn't want us.
right. And all the
And
floods and everything they had to go through to keep their houses on the land. It's resilience.
yes, like that is literal survival. And so I like for me, I feel like it is 2040 should have some there should be a 2040 that where North Brentwood is where we design this future such that North Brentwood is still able to exist in the ways that it does in our hearts from a spiritual and emotional perspective.
Well, I hope that as I think it's what I hear you saying is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hear you saying that the work that you're doing with your leadership and your counterparts, you guys are building the foundation so that 2040 can look the way that you envision. Um, mm,
Ish,
ish.
ish.
The- okay.
I'm saying that everything that the collective, so not just people in, leadership positions or
Mhm.
leader with titles, not necessarily people with titles
I
are the
got you.
ones responsible for, but rather that um, we can choose. It's almost like choose your own adventure, right?
How do you address people who may be afraid to rock the boat? They know things need to be done, but they're afraid to start the fire that really needs to happen to make things happen. What would you say to them?
So what I would say, because I am that person, I've been that person,
Mm-hmm.
um, more than I am that person, and so for me, I still don't. I can understand the fear that people have when they're in a role and they're the first, or they're the only. Because sometimes you can be the first, but you're not the only. But you know what I
Right.
mean.
Right.
And so I can understand that feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that doesn't excuse the responsibility.
Mm.
So let's take my first few years in office. Um, my compass hasn't changed. My comfort level with speaking about what my compass is has.
Okay.
But what was in here has always been there. And the way that I maneuvered was different. So, when you're the first or you're the only, you navigate around the edges, right? You make a change here, a change there. You may not necessarily be as explicit about why you're doing what you're doing because it's all about building coalitions and getting larger groups of people on board, right? And you don't want
Mm-hmm.
to alienate anybody, especially not early on in your leadership, because you need everybody to help keep pushing you forward to do those great things.
You don't need no enemies. Lord.
Um, and so while the tactics may be different, like now I feel comfortable, I don't know but I said these are the things that the city of Hyattsville needs to do to defend Black life in our city and to protect Black futures going forward, right? I wouldn't have felt the same level of comfort doing that in 2011 that I do in 2020. But the desire was still always there. And so the tactics are just different. And I would tell people to, not rely on another person's, style. Don't let another person's style dictate how you're supposed to move as a leader. But you keep the goal in front of you. And so if the goal is to make sure that all, all the kids in the community have a safe place to study and um, to work after school, and that they feel comfortable and cared for. And you're often thinking about kids. Let's say if I'm thinking about kids like my son, I'm like, I want, young Black boys and Black girls to feel like they have a safe space. But you can extend that to every young boy and young girl.
Right.
So I say, hey, we need to have a safe place for teens. We need to work to develop a safe place for teens to live, to study and work after school. And so that's what we do. But the goal didn't change. Just how we did it was different. And so for people who might feel fearful about stepping into their leadership, I think I would say, or stepping into their leadership when they're the first or when they're the only.
To owning it, right.
To recognize that it's okay to have that trepidation around being vocal, and knowing that you might be the only person who might care about a certain thing. But work on building your coalitions. Don't let it change what you're there for. And don't let other people tell you that just because you're not doing it the way that they would do it means that you're not meeting the end result or the end goal. Because you always have to remain true to who you are and allow your leadership to mature just as you're maturing as a person. And I think that that's the most honest way of doing that.
I'm so thankful for this wealth of information, because what you've just given us is Oprah's masterclass.
I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but I think that's just a more honest way of being.
No, this is what this was supposed to be about. Every interview is different. And what you've given us is, we have so much Black leadership in this county. And this is a master class on how to maneuver in Prince George's County. And that expands to all around the world. But you can speak from experience. And what you said, I think, is very, very empowering to not be afraid.
The more that we get people in leadership who understand that, okay, you're there and you're responsible for shepherding this part of the vision, right? And you need to open the doors and make the space a little bit friendlier for the next person that comes in and has to do their part of the vision. And I think that unfortunately we don't necessarily make the space friendlier, nor do we make it a bit more open sometimes. And I think we have to be in better practice of that. And remember that is also part of what we should be doing as leaders, community leaders, activists, title or not, that's what we need to do. And that's our responsibility.
It sounds like it becomes the obligation to bring somebody else up, to reach back when you are able to move up, that you're able to reach back and bring someone along with you to widen the table.
It's one of the things that I always say is that visions are eternal, or rather, I usually say the other word around. People are mortal, but visions are not. And so I'm not going to be here forever. You're not going to be here forever. But we want the museum to be here forever.
Forever.
We want Prince George's County as a thriving, beautiful county to be here forever. So whether it's us or someone else, if we just need to make sure that we open the space for someone else to come along, to be caretakers and to be shepherds. Now, whether or not they're under your tutelage is a different thing, but it's
Right.
just make sure that everybody recognizes that that's their obligation to this world and to the communities that they're in, to really try to shape a vision that includes everybody and that makes a different reality for those of us who are here now, or will be a different reality and different future for those of us who are here now.
I got you. I think this is sage advice, and I hope everybody's taking notes because she has given us our homework assignments for the remainder of 2020 into 2021 about how to get your life right and get on the focus of making sure that we are doing what we need to do, that we all have a part to play in making sure that our county will be sustainable and will be here forever. So we're going to summarize with 3 magical words. So if you can summarize Prince George's County into 3 words, we're going to turn this into an affirmation. What words would you use to summarize Prince George's County? If you had to tell somebody on like a Google review.
No, actually, all 3 B's. I don't know if it would qualify for a Google review, but
Okay.
beautiful, black, and brilliant. And I don't mean brilliant necessarily as smarts, although that is a thing, but rather just that there's a clarity and a sparkle that we have that sets us apart from everywhere else.
Ooh, I like that. So it sounds like our affirmation is going to be, we are beautiful, we are black, and we are brilliant, right?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. It's affirmation time, everyone. And this is, with this Pride of Place Parlor that we have, we are creating and affirming what we would like our future to be, our present and our future to be here in Prince George's County. So Mayor Candace, Mayor Hollingsworth, can you please lead us in this affirmation? And we're going to all repeat it after you. When we're talking about Prince George's County, we're going to say,
we are beautiful.
We are beautiful.
We are black.
We are black.
And we are brilliant.
And we are brilliant. Yes, we are. Well, thank you so much for taking time to share all of your knowledge and thoughts with us today about why you have Pride of Place in Prince George's County. And everyone, I want you to please, please, please continue to support Hyattsville, because it's happening and it's historic and it's amazing. And that we all want to know that we are want you to know that we are Prince George's proud. And so I'll see you guys next time for another virtual Pride of Place Parlor. Please make sure that you stay Prince George's proud, and that we want you to be here. So wear a mask and social distance, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.